Right, so we are on episode 9. Yeah, we're on episode 9 already. So, again, I'm just kind of powering through a bunch of these now, but if you have questions, feel free to ask them. So, this one is concerning cell phone batteries. I know I've spoken a few times about cell phones and external batteries and all these different things, but I think this topic warrants its own discussion. Brian, I finally upgraded from a Samsung Note 4 to a brand new phone. Wow, a Note 4 is an older device, but still a good phone in my opinion. The reason I was able to use this phone for so long was because as the battery wore out and stopped holding a charge for more than a few hours, I could just replace it with a new battery and I was good to go. It's actually a feature that I love about my Note 4. I'm actually using it right now to record, so, it's still a worthwhile phone in my opinion, but hey, things age and sometimes you just want a nice little upgrade. My new phone does not have a removable battery, and I am somewhat disappointed with this. Is there any reason why a company would do this other than the fact that it forces me to buy a new phone after the battery goes? Yes, there actually is a reason. I felt very kind of insulted and I almost felt like attacked because cell phone companies were doing less and less situations where they were kind of like, just making a battery removable. I felt like they were attaching it inside because, oh, this greedy company wants to take my money. That is a factor, of course, because if you could just replace the battery in your phone every time, you could perpetually use your phone for a long time. My Note 4 is, I think it's like 6 or 7 years old now, and it's still kicking strong because I just replaced the battery. I just use it for recording and, just for minor things. I like how it balances sound with microphones, but we're not talking about the Note 4 as a phone. But anyway, yeah, so removable batteries, there's a couple reasons why they would actually discontinue the removable battery from a phone. I'm gonna try to order these in terms of not importance, but like how you can hopefully understand from a less technical point to a more technical point. So the first thing with the phone, like when they kind of seal it all up inside, that's where you may notice that your phone has something called like an IP68 rating. That determines how well it can protect against things like dust and water and things like that. So you're kind of doing a trade-off here, where you're trading the convenience of removing the battery versus, adding waterproofing features and things like that into your phone. Could it be done with a removable battery still? Possibly, but you run more of a risk every time you add a new gap or a new way to open up things or stuff like that. So, the first thing is they want to make phones more waterproof, more dust resistant, everything else like that. And they have every right to do that. You as a consumer decide. Unfortunately, not too many companies are trying to still offer the older model of the removable battery. So that's the first part. The second, more technical reason is when you include a battery tucked away inside of the phone, you don't have to engineer or design a system where the battery can be removed, rearrange circuitry, everything like that. With, modern phones these days, you can actually pack the battery deeper into the phone and you don't have to consider accessibility. And this allows a couple things. It allows better, more logical placement with the battery. So, like, they can design the phone a little bit better to handle shocks and issues and, just where you place things. There's less obstacles that they have to work with. They have more freedom. But the second thing is they can actually afford more battery space because the battery can be tucked away somewhere more conveniently. So instead of having a battery with a capacity of, let's say, 2,000 milliamp hours, that's basically just like battery size, instead of 2,800, you could do 3,000 in the same exact amount of space, but because you can sneak it in somewhere or you can expand a little bit more, add a little bit more width, a little bit more thickness, these are some things that you can actually get done with your phone, and you can just basically add more capacity. And I think most people will agree that that seems like a pretty solid standoff. So yeah, that's kind of like, what the reason is. But yeah, the other reason is money. As your phone battery declines, you're going to buy a new phone, and that's another sale that the company can generate from it. Now, before you go buying a new phone because your battery isn't working well, there's a couple things. First off, look at your warranty. If you have battery issues within the first year warranty, you may be eligible for replacement, repair, or a refund even if your battery is not working out the way that you want, or at least to reasonable expectations. The other thing is after between years 1 and 2, if you bought it with a credit card, a lot of credit cards will actually extend the manufacturer's warranty, and battery issues is a major problem with that. I actually did that with one of my other phones because the battery was not living up to capacity. So just wanted to kind of throw that out there as like, this is what it is, and those are some of the issues that happen as a phone manufacturer will produce their phones. So, and I mean, let's see, is there any other reasons? Probably not. Those are the main three-ish reasons that I can realize that. So, you want to make sure that you take care of your phone. There are a few things you can do to extend the life of your battery. Some people will say, oh, you should always run your battery to zero. You should always charge it as often as possible. In my experience, you should be charging your phone as often as possible. And if you go below like 10% multiple times, I think you do a little bit more wear and tear to it. So whenever you can top off the charge on your battery, that's one factor. Another factor is temperature management. If you're going to the beach or leaving your phone out in the sun or even in the cold, or if it's exposed to the elements, a lot of heat or a lot of cold, you can kind of damage the internal workings of the battery. So you shouldn't leave your phone in your car in the beating hot sun. You shouldn't leave it sitting in the sun baking. Take a piece of clothing and throw it on top of it, or like a white piece of paper, or even consider getting a light colored case. That could actually help quite a bit. If you're playing games or something, take regular breaks between it. If you notice your phone is heating up a lot, give it a few minutes to cool off. That'll do wonders in terms of the battery's health over time. So hopefully this kind of answered the way that, tech companies build their phones. It is a capitalist market, and this is very competitive. So, people are still buying these newer and newer phones. And, if you don't find yourself within that, ecosystem or the mechanics of that where you're expected to get a new phone every 2 years, there is battery replacement. Your credit card company may help you out with that. And also something that a lot of people don't really think to do is, if your phone works great, always stay behind a couple upgrades, and you'll still get a brand new battery, and your phone will be a little bit more low end, but you'll always be getting these like incremental upgrades. So for example, on the Pixel line, I always stay 2 Pixel phones behind in pacing. That's been my strategy. It might change with the newer phones, but when the Pixel 3 came out, I bought the Pixel 1. It's still a great phone. And then when the Pixel 4 comes out, I'm going to buy the Pixel 2. And I'm hopefully going to be able to kind of like jump forward every year and a half. I can move at more of an accelerated rate towards replacing my phone. But if you look at the cost of the Pixel 1 plus the Pixel 2 as they're older and outdated phones that they're trying to get rid of, that price goes significantly lower. So I'm still kind of like moving within the year and a half, maybe even 2-year upgrade plan every time, but it's not, it's not really ruining my phone experience. And the battery issue is not a problem. And it kind of feels nice to get a new phone, even though you're just a little bit behind on everything. So things to consider, it's a financial thing. If you can afford the greatest and latest phone every year, I mean, Godspeed. I wish you the best. But for me, it's not really worth it to me. I'd rather spend my money elsewhere. So hopefully this kind of sums up. I know I kind of went on a rant about something else, but yeah, phone batteries, they just kind of, they're just not the best part about a phone right now. So, all right, anyway, thank you for asking. If you guys have more questions, toss them in the comments.